I'm curious, what are some of the stories that you've been telling yourself? Hi, my name is Uriel Mesa, and I am with KTSLifeCoaching.com. And as a life coach, I'm always very intrigued by some of the stories that my clients tell me. So I'm going to make up a scenario. Let's say you yourself have been telling yourself the story that if I were to apply for this next position in my company, that more than likely they're not going to want me. I'm not going to fit in. I'm not going to be qualified. And maybe they're going to judge me. They might laugh at me. I don't know. Maybe that's the story that you've told yourself. And maybe you get to the point where you can actually feel it physically within you, just thinking about what that story is. Now, on a side note, I actually did hear a quote, or I read this quote from a book, and I wish I could remember the name of the person who said it, but it was very interesting because what the quote is that I have seen some horrific things in my life. 80% of these things never happen because of the stories that we told ourselves. So imagine all these negative scenarios that you've told yourself about any given thing, maybe advancement, maybe asking somebody out, or maybe your ability to perform in some way, and you tell yourself, there's no way I can do that. I just can't do that. Who would want me? Nobody would want me. I'm not enough, and blah, 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 blah. Now, here's my challenge to you. What if you changed your story? So we're going to go back to the scenario of applying for a new position within your company. What if you say to yourself, they would be more than happy, or maybe even lucky, to have me. I'm more than qualified to be working in this new position. I would be a huge asset to this company or to this department. I don't know if I said this or not, that I would fit in very well. What if you tell yourself this new story? What might happen? And I feel that there's going to be some people who might think, if you tell yourself this and then it doesn't happen or doesn't manifest the way you would have liked it to, you're basically just setting yourself up to fail. To me, if you haven't at least tried, then you've already failed. So the way I look at it is, what do you have to lose? What's the worst thing that could happen? So here's my challenge to you. When you catch yourself and you catch yourself telling yourself a negative, disempowering story, what I want you to do is I want you to flip it around. So when you say that, why would I apply for this next position? Because they're not going to want me, I'm not enough, I'm not qualified, or whatever. What would happen if you say to yourself, I'm going to apply for this next position. I feel like I'm going to be a great asset. I know I'm going to be a great fit. And I know that I'm more than qualified to do a great job for this department. And then see what happens. How do I say this? Do not get attached to the outcome. In fact, I tell people, I said, you want to kind of sort of detach from what the outcome is. So don't instill any emotions, value systems, or anything to whatever happens. Just whatever happens, happens. If it doesn't go your way, then regroup, try it again, and keep telling yourself the positive, empowering story. Try to stay away from the negative. Try to stay away from all these negative stories. Now keep in mind, I know I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole here, but keep in mind that when these negative stories start to pop in, it is so subtle, it's almost like a whisper. And you have to be very aware when you're starting to go down that rabbit hole of negative thinking, because what you're actually doing, you're telling yourself that story. Be aware of what it is. And just say to yourself, just got hooked again. Okay, I'm telling myself the story that, and then you fill in the blank. And then you switch it around and say, okay, so the story is, and then you start to talk about the positive story that you want to tell yourself. After a while, this gets to be pretty easy. It's taken me, honestly, a few years to be able to do this, but I kept with it, and it's actually gotten considerably better. But anyway, that's my technique, and I'd like you to try it. If you have any questions, DM me. If you have any comments, please DM me. I'm curious as to what might happen, okay? All right. Anyway, I'm rambling again. Thank you so much for your time. Again, get a hold of me.